And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at Scooby Doo Escape from the Haunted Mansion, a Coded Chronicles game. When I first heard about this is from the op, I was under the impression, for whatever reason, that this was based on Betrayal at House on the Hill, where you're going through a mansion and it was the Scooby Doo theme. Very excited about that, but that's actually not what the game was. The game is actually in the genre of escape room games. In this game, you are playing the 5 different characters who have shown up in their broken down van, of course, at a spooky mansion, of course, where there's a ghost, of course, and then solving a mystery together. So you can play this 1 to 5 players. This is a one-time only game. There's no divergent paths, really. There's a lot of content in here, but when you're done playing it, you can give it to somebody else to play if you like to, because everything goes back together. So let's take a look at how it goes. I'm going to try not to spoil anything major at all, and then we'll come back and talk what I thought about it. There's 5 books that come with this game. So we got Velma and Shaggy and Daphne, Scooby-Doo, and Fred. And if you play with 1 player, you'll take all 5 books. If you play with 2, you split them up. These books are going to have a lot of different things written in them with numbers. You can see Fred here has 5150. So there's various numbers in this game, but you're not going to read them at all. The book is actually going to tell you to start reading one of them to start out the adventure. And what's going to happen in this adventure is you're going to be slowly revealing map tiles here. And so this is the first one you'll come into, showing the mansion. Each player is going to have different stands for the characters. But again, remember, no one is any particular character. And what you'll do to play the game is you will take one of the characters. Each character has a very specific thing they can do. Fred is investigate, Scooby is smell, Shaggy is eat, Velma is research, and Daphne is use. And you will stick the number of that person in front of something on the board. So for example, here you'll see this table is 201. And so I can put Fred's number in front of that like this, and then Fred will look up in his book and read 5201. If he wants to investigate that, Shaggy can try to eat it. He would look up 2201, and she could research Velma and look up 1201, etc. You'll notice that there are some numbers that are only 2 numbers, so you might need another number. There is a whole deck of cards here that are included with the game. And so let's say I found a card here. This is a card. I could maybe say I'm going to use this rope to open a door, so 511, and then maybe use Daphne here and say 3511, and I could maybe use that to figure it out. And there's other ways there are other codes and things that you will do to find those. There are more tiles here throughout the game. There's also a pile of secret envelopes that will be opened and the contents revealed, which will help you solve the game. The game has a clear break in it, and this envelope is here just to put the stuff in between games. And then when you're done with Chapter 2, you'll just read this entry to go on. That's pretty much it. Like I said, when you read through these entries, I'm going to show you what's in the book here. When you read through the entry, it will show you various things that can happen. It might tell you to draw cards. Many times it will just tell you the next part of the story that's in there. Sometimes it will tell you to eat a Scooby snack. That's kind of a bad thing. At the end of the game, you will see if you've solved the mystery, how many Scooby snacks you have remaining out of 20, and it kind of gives you your score that you've gotten. There's also a section back here. If you're stuck in one of the room puzzles, you can go through these hints, but once you hit the 3rd or 4th hint, or 5th or 6th on a certain puzzle, you read these things, then you can't, you will have a problem. You'll eat a Scooby snack, essentially. But they do give you more hints, and these will help you out almost to the point of telling you how to solve it on each of the last clues. That's pretty much all I can show you without spoiling anything. Let's keep going. Component-wise, I do want to mention that the writing in here is really well done. I especially like how they wrote Shaggy. He's very well written. All of them are there. They say jinkies. That phrase that you're hoping is in the game is most definitely in there. The cards are really cool. There's all sorts of neat things in the back of these. The components in here, there are tiles and other things that one of them surprised me quite a bit. The stands are a little right? It's just a folded, thing here. You just fold these up, but you don't even have to put the numbers down. You just have to remember that they're there. Overall, I'm fine with it, and I will say this, and this is pretty important. Everything easily goes back. They tell you how to put everything back, and so this game, which I played through completely, is ready, set to go for the next person. I will mention that there was one spelling error I noticed, was not a big deal, but there was also one switching of numbers it said to go to a certain number, but it actually was a different number. However, that was only in the clue that helped us figure it out, where we had to look up something for help. If we had done it the right way, we would have got there. That's not a huge deal, but it did stump us for a brief moment of time. But other than that, very happy with the components. I've always been a big fan of Scooby Doo. I don't know what it is. I've just always enjoyed that show. I like the characters of it. I've enjoyed the modern redone things because they keep the same stuff together, from Shaggy's love of snacks to Shaggy jumping into Scooby's arms to Fred, having a love for traps to Scooby snacks to, all these different things and the meddling kids, and all of that is in here. I want to talk about that first of all. The writing in this game, I really think it was well done. The Shaggy character, when you read his dialogue, I could hear his voice in my head, and just that whole phraseology that he has, and each of the characters, it was really well done. Even the bad guys talk like the stereotypical bad guys in the game. So I enjoyed that part of it. I thought that was neat. And every object, everything out there, you can look at and use. So, there's no harm in taking your time and reading through all the dialogue. So if you see a gun, there's no gun in the game, but let's say you see a gun on the table, Fred could investigate it, and Scooby could smell it, and Shaggy could try to eat it. And that sounds ridiculous, but if it is ridiculous, they'll say something to that effect. One of the things I liked is the hint system also is in the characters thing. So if you're stuck, Shaggy might be like, hey, did you think about doing this? And, oh yeah, okay, that's a good idea. So that was entertaining. The theme of this one is really strong. And that's interesting to me because the next game in this genre is actually The Shining. So I'm curious to see how they move, in that direction. I should mention that, though. The Scooby Doo Escape from the Haunted Mansion, I believe it says on here 12 plus, right? And then I was like, I play this with my kids. I did play it with my kids. My kids loved the story. They were pretty adept actually at solving the puzzles to some degree. But the puzzles in this game are not simple. I would put this on the medium level of puzzle solving. The first puzzle, I was like, oh yeah, we nailed the first puzzle. There were some puzzles in there that were pretty tricky, I thought, including one logic puzzle that shows up near the end of the game, which we solved eventually because you will solve it based on how you just have to wait till you get there. But for a while we sat there and thought, okay, we do this, no, that doesn't work. We'll do this, no, that doesn't work. Until we solved it, and it was entertaining. There's also one of my most fun puzzles I've done in a game has been in this one. And I know this is all ambiguous, but I like the puzzles. There's about one puzzle per room, like 10 or 11 puzzles over the course of the game. But then there's also story. And so that's where this game diverges from the escape room genre, because the story is there. This is very similar to the adventure games that Thames and Cosmo's done. There's just this overall story. In fact, there's an overall mystery at the end of the game. Who is playing the ghost? And they ask you that question, and you got to pick who it is. And they have clues. When we got through, and we were incorrect. We really thought it was one person because they laid some nice red herrings out there, but had we found all the clues, and we didn't, had we found all the clues, we would have solved it. And we could have found the clues at the end. They're like, do you want to search around more? We're like, nah, I think we got this. If we had searched around more, we could have learned it better. Okay, so there's nothing here. This could have been made in the 70s or 80s. There's nothing here that's necessarily modern. This is a classic one, so those who love Scooby Doo from a long time ago will enjoy it. And my kids who are not in that old classic range, they also enjoyed it because the characters have pretty much stayed true to form over the years. So I really enjoyed this. Now, I do get that this is a pretty big box and stuff for essentially what is a one-time game. It took us about 3 hours to go through it, maybe a little more than that, and we could have gone even longer had we done even more exploring. But then it's done, and the rule book's really clear, and you're not going to find a different ending if you go through another way. But then we can now gift this to somebody else to play. I enjoyed this quite a bit. I thought it was a lot of fun. The theme certainly helped. This is Scooby Doo, right? And I love these adventure-style games. I love the story that happens in them. Not all the characters are in the game at one time. Sometimes you might be down to even just one character, because characters can, there might be a swinging wall that takes them behind a wall or something, and now they're gone for a while. And so you might be concentrating on one character. And even though Scooby-Doo's smell and Shaggy's eat don't seem as useful as Fred's investigate and Velma's investigate and Fred's investigate and Velma's research, they still have their strong moments in the game. So I found that to be an entertaining thing, how there was all 5 characters are needed to do it. Sometimes you'll have all of them, sometimes you'll have some of them, and it just comes across really well. So there's some neat puzzles in here, and there's even stuff in here I haven't seen in an escape room game before. So that's a win-win for me. Some minor text problems in it, but other than that, really happy with Scooby Doo Escape from the Haunted Mansion. I'm Tom Vasel, and we'll see you next time. Dice Tower Judgment, excellent!